Can we hold the meeting for 3 minutes? We have a technical problem for live out here. I didn't hear your mic muted.
Oh, will you tell me when you're ready?
Okay, I need 3 minutes. Thank you.
Perfect. So this is no phone or anything? No. Okay. Just didn't know. Just so everyone knows, it is 5:30, but our AV department has asked for a little bit of a delay so they can get the online at home viewers on. So we're just going to wait a few minutes.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Tell him. We're ready.
Thank you, Tony. The chair will call the August 5th, 2026 meeting of the City Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Redpath, can you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Cox. Here. Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford. Alderwoman Purchase. Alderwoman Netriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Busher.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Clerk. This evening, I would like to start off with a presentation. We have our friends from Heartland housed here, and Josh Sabo is going to come to the podium and give us an update on all of our successful efforts and the growth going on with Heartland House. So thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, everybody, for the opportunity to be with you tonight. So I just have a few slides and just want to walk through a little bit of the work that has happened, a little bit of the work that we're in the midst of, and then some of the challenges and things that we're working on at the moment. And happy to entertain any questions you have along the way as well. Just to start with, and some of you have seen this before over time, but the first slide.
Good luck.
Works like the roads in my house.
Are you able to adjust that?
Can you do it from back there, Joanna?
There you go.
Awesome. The first slide is really just an orientation to how we try to structure the collaborations across all the organizations in the community. The goal, first and foremost, is to prevent homelessness if possible. If we can't, then through outreach measures, we want to connect with people wherever they are and try to help them to access safe shelter. Often that's emergency shelter. Sometimes that's transitional housing programs. Sometimes okay, operator, you were kind to like walk away and not do that right beside me, but thanks so much. You know, in a sense, we want to, if a person is without a home to stay in, our first goal is to get them to a safe place so that they can work on goals from there. So often that looks like emergency shelter. Sometimes it's transitional housing. It could be sober living. There's a number of different ways that that looks in the community. And then from there, we want to work towards something more permanent. The way that we do that, the way that state and federal funding mandates that we do that is through a process called coordinated entry. Our community, the way that we assess people for housing opportunities, the number one factor is the length of time a household has been homeless. So those that have been experiencing homeless the longest are often at the top of the list for the next housing opportunity. And then ultimately, we need that permanent housing, which we call supportive housing. It means that we're pairing some level of rental subsidy with a case manager while that household, that family is working on really stabilizing and self-sufficiency in housing. So that's how we organize ourselves. And the reality is that our community has come a long way since the development of the strategic plan 3 years ago. The strategic plan really organizes our efforts in 4 key ways. Number one, we want to increase those housing opportunities. If we have only emergency shelter as a community, we have very little means to help people move out of emergency shelter and then to reach their goals and begin rebuilding their lives. So we want to increase those supportive housing opportunities. We want to improve our system, the way that people access care, how much care is available to them, right? We want to make sure that we're increasing the scope and the scale of services so that people don't have to experience long wait times. We want the system to work for people, to go to where people are and not just expect them to get to various places around the community. And then in general, just to consistently improve, right? As we increase housing opportunities or anything else, we recognize that those services can always get better. And so whether it's training or deepening our understanding, we want to make sure that we're improving what's available. The third part is strengthening partnerships, recognizing that homelessness often is the combination of a lot of complex challenges, right? And so housing is a piece of that, but so is healthcare, so is mental health care and substance use treatment, workforce, helping people gain employment and those types of things. And so we have to have partnerships across all of those systems to be successful. And then the fourth one is really something that you all, along with the county and the township, have helped us with, and that's developing some system infrastructure. If you look at what's different in Springfield compared to Decatur and Champaign and Bloomington and some of these other communities, is that we actually have investment from you and from the county and the township that's helping us to hire staff, to do outreach, to lead coordinated entry, and to do some of those system pieces that make it possible for us to increase our funding from the federal government or the state government. A couple more pieces of how that looks. So we completed our strategic plan in the fall of 2022. So we're now right at 3 years, or the halfway point in that strategic plan. And we invited our consultants to come back and just say, look at our data, look at what's happening. They came and hosted a number of different focus groups and then put together a progress report that's available on our website. We also sent that to you all. And this is just a screenshot of part of that with some of the things that have happened in our community since the strategic plan being developed, right? We doubled emergency shelter capacity in this community. We've increased state and federal funding by 500% since 2022, right? We've seen a lot of great things happen. And some of that is more visible than others, right? We've been able to implement something called the Landlord Risk Mitigation Fund that makes it easier for our organizations and partners to work with landlords in the community. The Helping Hands facility, it's wasn't that long ago, right, that we were scrambling year in and year out to figure out how to cover overflow shelter capacity. So some of these developments have changed the way that our community and our system operates, even if there still is a ways to go. The graph there is sort of demonstrating that because of the way that the federal government or HUD's competitive process works, our community was losing money year over year But over the course of the last couple of years, our funding has increased back to levels that we had not reached since 2012, right? So we've seen some of these things start to turn around and start to change and bring change in our community. One demonstration of that is that in 2019, our system helped 94 people exit to permanent housing. In 2025, that number was up to 409. So as that funding is increasing, so too are the opportunities for people to leave the shelter or leave unsheltered situations and get into an apartment or a home that's theirs and have the support of case managers through partner organizations to help them succeed in those units. A couple other demonstrations of that. If you go to our website, we have what's called the Built for Zero dashboard. That's something that we've been able to develop in partnership with an organization called Community Solutions. And one of the things that you can see on that dashboard is month over month, how many people are in our system. And that number is a 3-month rolling average. So really over the last 90 days, how many people touched our system. These bars each indicate a different month in 2025. So from January to December, we went from having 988 people in our system down to 849. It's a 14% decrease. It's significant, but when you're looking at numbers that large, it still feels like a drop in the bucket. Another demonstration of this, and you can go to our website and see the most up-to-date numbers there, but this is also on that same dashboard. This shows monthly inflow into our system, so the number of people who are accessing shelter or other services, and it also shows how many people exit our system. So they're going into an apartment of their own, they're going into a supportive housing opportunity, maybe they're relocating to be with family. And in 2025, out of the 12 months, we had 8 months that had more outflow than inflow. So we had more people leaving our system than coming into it. So those are things we certainly like to see. We'd love for that number to keep growing in terms of the number of people exiting to permanent solutions as opposed to entering our system. But we're seeing a lot of positive developments there. And just to hit on some of the ways that Heartland House contributes to that. So as we share those numbers, really a lot of those successes, virtually all of those successes are due to the partnerships we have, right? Due to the organizations that often you're helping to fund in different ways or that you're supporting in the community. Mercy Communities supporting families, Fifth Street Renaissance, Helping Hands, Youth Service Bureau, like these programs that are helping people in housing opportunities. Our role in that often is not the housing part of it, right? Our role is often on the system side of things. So we serve as the backbone agency of the continuum of care, and in a sense that model is that, prior to Heartland Housed existing, we had a continuum of care. By virtue of our scores with the federal government, we were not a very effective continuum of care. And our job is to really foster those collaborations, making sure, as you look at these different parts of the system, we've got the emergency shelters meeting together regularly and sharing challenges and sharing what they need so that we can try to increase the quality of care. We've got prevention groups meeting every 2 weeks to try to figure out how to help people stay in their units and not have to enter shelter in the first place. And so we're fostering those collaborations across all of these different programs and pulling in more partners as we find them and can get them to commit to the processes. And we focus on implementing the strategic plan. We wanted to make sure that wasn't a document that we spent time and money creating, but that was something that we really focused on as we guided our work. We lead that coordinated entry process and support the homeless management information system. Those are infrastructure pieces that don't often get people very excited, but without those, we're not eligible to receive state and federal funding. And so our organization is able to fill those roles in the community. We support housing navigation. I mentioned that landlord risk mitigation fund. We have to have housing units and affordable housing units in order to be successful in the first place. So making sure that we can find those, support those landlords, and help agencies connect with those units. A couple things we'll talk about in a little bit, but increasing street outreach. Over the last couple of years or last year and a half, we've been able to build a street outreach team, and we've developed what we call the housing helpline that really tries to catch people as they're in the midst of a housing crisis and connect them with resources so they don't experience eviction or have to enter into the shelter system. Each year we also compile a gaps analysis, right? So we're looking at what we're hearing from people experiencing homelessness in our organization, the community, and recognizing the places where we're having the most points of struggle and then trying to develop pilots and different projects so that we can begin to start moving in a better direction and kind of address those gaps. And then part of it is just working to increase resources, right? We try to make the case to the state and other partners that if they want to prove that their strategies to address homelessness work, we believe that Springfield is a unique scale to prove that. We have partners who are ready. We have a supportive community. We're ready for the type of investment that the state could then point at and say, look, this community is doing this better than anywhere else, and it's because we've got adequate resources to meet the need. So that's a part of what our organization does too, is trying to make that case to other funding partners that we have a chance to do something unique as a community. A couple pilot things that we created that I just wanted to mention. We've developed an app for iPhones and Android devices that allows local businesses and community members to share when they see a person that's experiencing homelessness and they want to make sure that person is on the street outreach team's radar. And so it takes about 30 seconds to click through the app. It's called HCOC Connect, if anybody wants to download it. And that app goes straight to our team, and it allows our outreach team then to kind of go and try to connect with those folks. And that's a part of, recognizing that, again, those gaps that we have as a community and those pain points that we have as a community, really building out this street outreach infrastructure so that we can help people who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness get the services they need, but also there might be a myriad of reasons why they can't access shelter, right? So trying to figure out what is the best possible next step and working with those individuals in that direction. It's very intense work, but it's some of the most important work our community has in front of it, and so that's been a key focus. We've developed an encampment response protocol and have worked with Public Works and other entities so that when an encampment is identified, we're putting together a collaborative process to work with individuals and try to help get them to a safer place. So those are just a couple of pieces on street outreach. I did want to mention too, as another example, here recently we participated in a 100-day challenge on homelessness prevention. And so we got to work with communities across the state to see how they're helping families and households stay in their housing units. And part of what we were able to launch during that time is what we're calling the Housing Problem Solving Flexible Fund. Just recognizing that we have state funding for homeless prevention. We have rental and utility assistance available at Sangamon County Community Resources. We have different pockets of support for people, but sometimes it's not enough or sometimes they're not eligible. And we run into a lot of situations where there's just simply no resource available. And so with this flexible fund, through donations, we've been able to build a safety net for folks so that when people come to us through the helpline and there's no other resource available to them, if they meet the criteria, we're trying to help that need through other means that didn't exist in the community before we launched it. That's all a lot of the good things. I want to hit on a couple of the challenges or issues that we're running into day in and day out. And first and foremost, the reality is that here in Springfield and Sangamon County, each year more and more people are touching our system. We have, in 2019, we had 1,245 people who reached out to partner organizations to receive services. And last year, that number was up to 1,772. So we've got more resources coming in. We're helping more people exit homelessness, but we've also got more people than ever who are entering the system at the same time. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the things that we certainly run into is that in this community, we've seen a 48% increase in fair market rental values since 2019. So in 2019, 2020, perhaps, the early days before the pandemic, it was not impossible in this community to find a rental unit for just over $600, right? Sometimes that might even include utilities. That meant that if a person only had disability income, we still could find a housing unit for them. And they were, even if it was tough, they had a safe place to stay. The reality is today it's not possible in this community, right? The cost of apartments is such that there's often no way. And, I want to especially point out the 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom dynamic, right? For families with multiple kids, if you think about one income, the cost of childcare, the cost of food, the cost of apartments, this is a dynamic that just is not possible to pull off. So this is one dynamic among many that certainly is feeding those numbers of increased households touching our system. Well, also, as we've built out this street outreach infrastructure, one of the things that we've begun to do is to develop what we call a by names list. So as we work with people who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness, we've built a task group of other partners who come together every 2 weeks or at least every month, and they're working through that list to see who's working with each person and what next steps they're working on and how to accelerate that process. Last year, this time, that number was 72. Now we have 90 individuals who are on that list who are frequently sleeping outside. Some of the frequent resources they're requesting, housing other than shelter, support getting identification, primary health care, mental health care, substance use treatment are all things that people are asking for assistance. I think that's is there another one? I might need you to keep working the remote for me. Oh yeah, so just a couple focus areas. We've completed that strategic plan halfway kind of check in, and that again, that's available to you. But one of the key things that we're really focusing on is complex care. When we think about those 90 individuals, when we think about the mental health board and the opportunities presented by that in the community, we think that this is a population that it's overwhelming in terms of the amount of police calls, the amount of emergency room resources, the different systems that are investing resources into these individuals, but not really providing the level of care that helps them move forward in their lives. And so we've really begun to focus on how do we build a system around complex care and the right collaborations and the right resources so that, if a person goes to treatment, that on the other side of that, it'd be great for them to have a place to stay as opposed to having to go back to the streets and still try to maintain their sobriety, right? When a person has a safe place to stay, mental health improves, right? It doesn't magically fix it, right? But you also have a better chance of moving forward in regards to sobriety and substance use and a lot of these types of things. They're not magically fixed by housing, but the opportunity to improve is certainly made easier when you have a stable place to sleep. Another thing that we sent to you was our youth homelessness needs assessment. That's one of the first steps that we've begun to take to really try to wrap our heads around the needs that youth in our community are facing and really how to increase a system of care around our youth. And then workforce development, whether it's supportive employment opportunities or just better initiatives that really help people learn those employment skills, but also gain employment is another key thing that we're focusing on this year. So that's a quick, maybe not so quick, but that's a little bit of the rundown of the work that we're doing. We're incredibly proud of where our community has come, but we say that at the same time, recognizing that we're nowhere near satisfied, and we know folks in our community are not satisfied with where we're at. We've got a lot of improvement that we still want to drive and see happen in this community. And we thank you for your partnership and where we've been able to get so far.
I want to give Director Posey a shout out in the back because his outreach team works well with the Heartland House outreach team. So thank you, Director, for your leadership with that. And then when Josh talked about the record number of people who have received housing in 2025, I would be not doing my job if I didn't give a big shout out to the governor's office for that. Josh and I were able to have some calls with Deputy Governor Menard, and they listened to our needs. And DHS has money, last year's budget and this year's budget, to help us with those numbers. So if it wasn't for Governor Pritzker, we would not be there. So I have to give him a shout out too. Yep, we have some alders who have signed up to speak. Alderman Carlson.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Josh, thanks for all you do for City of Springfield. I know it's a very difficult job. Homelessness affects all of our wards. And thank you for the few, some issues we've had in Ward 7. But that being said, one thing we've talked about previously was, just that whole communication as far as the different groups that you sort of oversee. And I know it's easy for everybody to sort of stay in their own silos. So is that continuing to, I don't know if it improves the right word, but is that still continuing? And I think I see that as your role as well, is just all these different organizations, talking to each other.
Yeah, the process is inherently collaborative, right? And it always can improve, and there's breakdowns in communications that happen. But our organizations, as Mayor mentioned, whether it's the community care team, or, just to give you an illustration, there was a person who often sleeps outside, who the neighborhood police officer is well acquainted with, the public works zone manager is well acquainted with, street outreach is often working with them. And when that person had a housing opportunity, we made sure that all of those folks knew that. So as they're talking to that person, they're also encouraging them. And so I think there's examples of that, frankly, we would have dreamed about that type of scenario a few years ago. But to see that type of energy all working in the same direction, doesn't always work that well. Sometimes it's more challenging, but I think the level of collaboration that we have is something I'm really proud of.
All right, Josh, thanks. Thanks, Mary.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you. I appreciate the team. I frequently see the outreach team, and I think that has really, really helped us out a lot. Just recently, as today, I've sent some information on, and not really somebody who is homeless, but somebody that we're going to have to help move. And often those calls, you and Ethan, I put y'all both in the same message, just from a bad rental and the owner of that rental taking forever to do some problems. So the best thing I could tell her is we just got to get you moved into a better situation. And I always appreciate when I send those things over, you guys look into them, handle them. There's been much success. I mean, we can speak on a guy that we know from our community that's housed, who was on the streets. I mean, since I was little, and we have not seen him out in the streets wandering around and stuff. So obviously, the work that the team is doing, we compliment you on that. Two things I want us to add to our focus list, if you could, from some things that I get often calls, is individuals who go to Helping Hands who may have some type of background that doesn't allow them to go in. I think that's an important area for us to focus in on, as well as individuals who may need some type of assistance with changing and things of that nature. It is very hard for that staff to handle those situations in there, and I think that's important for us to, our next steps. And as again, no critique of it's a big job, it's a tough job. I've been out, I've seen you guys out. I get it. But if we could add those two areas of focus, and while I'm on that, Dave and Public Works, we really got to look at putting a sidewalk on Dirksen. Those individuals walk down South Grand, and they're walking in the street, and it's causing not only issues for them, but also those who live in there, live in that area. I happen to be in the area when somebody almost got hit, so that's why I'm bringing that up. And I think it's very, very important that we look into how we do that to keep them safe. If we're going to put them somewhere, they got to have access to get there, and that's not on you. That's on us from a city perspective. But I appreciate you again, and I look forward to continuing to work with y'all.
Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Mayor. And Josh, thank you so much. Before I ask my questions, I would just like to say, I know you've got staff here. Could we maybe just have, and board members, could maybe just everyone from Heartland House who came today, maybe just stand up and be recognized, because I know we've got people who do a lot of fabulous work in the community. Thank you, guys. You are fabulous. I mean, you talk about your teams, you talk about the increase in street outreach. Those are areas that we really had asked you to look at, and those were areas where we get a lot of that direct concerns. Who's out there, who's talking to them, and I always tell people, we have fabulous subject matter experts in our community doing this work day to day, and as you're seeing, yes, we are seeing the numbers moving in a really positive way. I wonder, maybe, I think you probably would have some thoughts on maybe our successes breeding a little bit more of interest from other people who are going to come here, because we're showing what this model looks like and how we can get people safely housed throughout the city. So, but my questions are more towards kind of looking forward. The 708 board was a really big deal in the election. I was pleased to see that move forward. As they're getting their feet underneath them, I'm just wondering, do you have specific requests that you've made yet, or what are your plans that you can share for future collaborations with that?
No, I mean, we have not made any formal requests at this point, but for the last several months, as we've talked with MBH or different partners, we've been talking about what are the collaborative projects, or even, I think some of the examples that Alderman Gregory mentioned, or again, that complex care space are projects that I think my personal take is they're really appropriate for the 708 board, and some of the things that I think the community most wants to see, right? How do we match some level of housing support with those intense, behavioral health services? That's, I can tell you from the outreach team's perspective, some of the things that they're running into day in and day out, they just need more support. And a lot of that is trust building. It's being where people are and not asking them to come to a sterile office, but, we've seen success. Southern Illinois University has launched a street medicine program in June, and it's been absolutely incredible to see what happens when the doctor and the nurse goes out with street outreach staff or goes into an encampment, and, the success that leads to in terms of, actually getting health needs addressed or getting them to go to a clinic when necessary. So that model works. It works elsewhere, and so we have a lot of ideas and a lot of plans when the opportunity arises to put some projects forward.
Wonderful. And I knew you would. I was expecting that, but because I know that's one of the things that I've heard is just the barriers of being able to access. I'm just going to say healthcare. Mental health is healthcare. It's all part of our one body-mind system. So I like to not maybe separate them as much, but I think I really appreciate that you're continuing looking at best practices in other communities and finding a way to model that in our community. I do hope, and I'm sure you have been, but working with our fire department, with our new ambulance unit that's going out, really the intention of that unit, and that was the design behind that, was to help reach these populations of people who have a harder time getting into traditional medical care and are experiencing their crisis really on the streets, and which is really, I will say one thing that I do appreciate about people who reach out to me about this. I very rarely get people who are angry about homelessness. It's more, it comes from more of a place of compassion. And, we see that when people are, sometimes compassion is not always helpful, like when you're giving money to someone who's standing at a very dangerous intersection, right? But there's a lot of compassion and desire to see this fixed in this community. So I appreciate you coming and speaking like this tonight. I will just share, I want to remind everybody, we get newsletters from Josh, from the Continuum, and I'd like to see you blow that trumpet a little more often, because there's really good information in there, and just on a regular basis, the steps that you're taking. It is a difficult job. I agree, I appreciate that we have that goal of functional zero, but people need to also just be reminded and educated, what does that functional zero look like? And it does look like we still have people out there, but there's a bigger net that has fewer gaps in it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned the new initiative of the fire department too, because I think that's, if you think about, the expansion of the community care team or the street outreach team and all of these groups, community care, street outreach, street medicine, all of those work incredibly closely together as we keep, the direction keeps moving in that way.
Right.
And I think the momentum in our community to keep building on that is really going to create a stronger system. I'm positive of that.
Well, and you mentioned, it's a lot of it's trust. When someone's living on a street, that's someone who's not having a good day, week, month, year, right? And to be able to establish a relationship with your staff, with people that they know and see on a regular basis. And thank you for calling out the neighborhood officers and the different connections in our zone managers as people who are consistent, reliable presences, that we can keep building these relationships. I always think that's one of the things that we got so badly hurt during COVID. I think we all we separated, and we're still having a hard time finding our way back to connection. So I just want to thank you again for all of this. It's really, it's exciting to see your progress. It's a little daunting to see the tasks that you still have ahead of you. And, certainly I hope to see the city and this council continue to support the work that you're doing. So thank you very much, Josh. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director, for coming. I want to back up to the sidewalk. In your mind or opinion, who do you think should put this sidewalk in? Should it be the city, which is, I think people are misdirected when we get these calls, or do you think it should be the county who started all this mess and put them there? Or do you think It should be the state DOT.
He seems like a great question for our elected officials to figure out, and not our lovely nonprofit executive director.
Good job, Josh.
Well, that's a good answer, spoken like a politician. So that's a good political answer.
Maybe one day, Roy.
I'll say this, it's real. They walk from Stevenson to Clear Lake daily. We've been fortunate, we only have one death so far. A car has hit one of them, they did die, and this is very serious, but it is challenging to figure out how to get the sidewalks. Because I feel the people who put them there, which is the county government who porched this, should put the sidewalks in. I know my overlays for Dirksen Parkway come from DOT, come from the state. It's considered a state highway, as well as Stevenson. A whole bunch of them I have in Ward 3 because of that side of town and those old highway systems. But right now, where I'm at as the alderman over there is, I just want a sidewalk there. Because the people who live over there didn't put them there, government put them there. The county government in particular put them there, but I don't care who pays for it. I've been told by us, the city, oh, that's not our responsibility because it's not our road. It's a state highway. Dirksen has always been considered 31st Street, State Highway, all these different things over the years. But in the end, just like you go to them for the overlay alderman, you got to go to them for sidewalks. Others at the state have said, well, no, the county put them there, put the whole shelter on that side, in there without thinking this through, so they have to. All I know is we have human beings in need, some of them mental, some of them having addictions, all these walking on the edges of a highway, like I said, from Stevenson Drive, Capital City Shopping Center, all the way to Clear Lake. I don't blame you. I'm grown in this area. I've learned to tell you, you are doing a good job because I now know through all the calls and fighting that this is a very complex issue, dealing with trying to take care of people who need shelter and need housing. So there's been some growth in me in this, not to be so critical on the agencies themselves, because dealing with hotel owners and all these different people, I realize this is complex and we're not going to fix it. And yes, the future, wow. What is it going to look like? But there are things that public safety should move us to the front. And a sidewalk is one of them, because it's just dangerous to have anybody really walking along a highway. We can't walk along highways when we got houses. But here they are, homeless, don't have, but they can, or they are allowed to right now. And it's dangerous, so I just wanted to know in your mind, but you're saying that government figured out, and that would be a good answer. I want to thank you for what you do. Like I said, this has been a growing relationship between us. I was one of the harder ones on this because I didn't like the situations. I still got a lot of it that I don't like when it comes to my hotels and where they're staying or their behaviors, but I learned to not blame the agency. And then with this new mental health piece, I learned not to always blame the individuals. Sometimes they just don't know no better or can't help themselves. So I do appreciate the work. I appreciate what's done. I wish you would join me in helping try to figure out where we're going to get this sidewalk, that long sidewalk.
That's what I was going to offer. I'm happy to, let's work together on it. Let's advocate together and figure out where to run with it. But happy to join you in that.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Notriano?
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Williams, I have an idea, and somebody who's been up here longer than me will have to explain, but I believe we have money in the video gaming revenue fund for infrastructure improvements, and I believe a sidewalk would certainly qualify.
But can we spend it on any street, or does it have to be in our jurisdiction?
We just would probably have to ask IDOT for the okay or whatever.
Thank you for the idea.
Yeah, no problem. I agree with Alderman Gregory and Alderman Williams. Yeah, we absolutely need a sidewalk there. Not only would it ensure safer travel, but it would help to repair the relationships with the businesses along that thoroughfare that have been impacted by people traversing. And I want us all to keep in mind, think of how hard it is to make that journey on a good day. Imagine when it's packed with snow. These folks have no choice but to walk in the street. So, yeah, we really, as a city, have to prioritize that. But the reason I signed up to speak, thank you so much for all you do. I have had experience with encampment in Ward 6 recently, and I think it would be beneficial to know, I'm curious myself, but also for residents to know, a high-level overview of your encampment response protocol.
Yeah, so number one is figuring out where the property is. Oftentimes when, when we know where people are, we're going to work with them. We're going to make sure that, that they're okay. If they want access to services, we're going to be trying to do that. Sometimes we'll get a call that says, hey, the owner doesn't want this there. They want them out in 3 days. And so then we often say, how about giving us a month? Could you give us 30 days to work with these individuals? And then when we have that time frame, then we try to pull in Memorial Behavioral Health's PATH team. It depends on the number, right? Ethan's Department of Community Care team has joined us. Public Works has joined us. And so we bring those groups all together. The street outreach folks go and when I say folks, not just our team, but all of those individuals. Task is involved, right? And they're working with each individual. And often, those different staff will have rapport with different people. And so this person's working with this individual and so on. And the whole goal is to say, are you eligible for shelter? Are you willing to go to shelter? If you're not willing to go to shelter, are you on our coordinated entry list? What are all the opportunities that we have available? Do you have a cousin that will let you stay with them for a short period of time? So you start problem solving person by person, whatever that unique situation is, and then, working towards that point that the encampment needs to be closed down because of the property owner's wishes. But, a lot of times, sometimes too, there's not that dynamic, right? Where the property owner, it just might be that we know it's October and November and, and dangerous weather is coming, or June and July, right? And so, a lot of times that same focus goes in, even in those situations when we're not saying, hey, you got 30 days to get out of here, but it's more of like, this is, you don't want to be out here when it's 100 degrees and 80% humidity. Like, let's try to work on other solutions. So it's really that. It's person-centered, person by person, helping them figure out what their goals are, and then ultimately just figuring out all the pieces to help them get hopefully to a safer situation before they have to move somewhere else.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate you explaining that, and also letting us know that, it's not always a really fast process, because we're dealing with, individuals. So thank you.
And that's all we have signed up. I thank you for coming
Thanks, everybody.
to present. Thank you to your team for attending as well, and your board. We have a board member here, so thank you for everything, and great partnership.
Appreciate it.
Mayor?
Alderman Hanauer, sorry.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I would like to, in order to help Senator Turner.
We're not done yet with presentations, so you're
One
going to
more
have to hold there, sir.
Oh, I was going to see if we could bring.
We can in a minute.
360 to help get her out. I'm sure
One
she's
moment,
got a-
please. The good senator likes to hear good things.
She loves this place.
I would like to bring up Director Sarah Kink to the podium from HR. And then in a minute, we'll bring some others up. But one of the big pushes when I became mayor was to create summer internships for college students at the city of Springfield. We have issues with being able to hire and retain people. Our salaries are not always the top salaries that you can get. And so if we invest in our students locally, I thought that was a great way to let them see what it was like to work in city government. And directors have done a great job of building those in. And then Director Kink came on board and decided to take it one step further and highlight our summer interns. And we had a presentation from them, which was wonderful. And from there, she's going to bring up 2 directors and 2 interns with her to give you just a quick talk. So Director Kink, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Hold that
Very
down,
nice.
Sarah.
Thank you. Very nice to be here tonight. as Mayor has said, that we are slowly expanding our internship program that is available to seniors or to college students that are Springfield residents. This year, we had 15 interns, and tonight we have 2 of them to speak briefly about their experience and what they've gained from their time with us at the city. So I'd like to bring up Luke. Do you want to come up with Ramona?
Director Metzger, I'll let you introduce your intern.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. This is Luke Hockenose, and he is a rising senior at Notre Dame, and he is an economics major as well as a pre-med major.
Absolutely. Thank you, Director Metzger. I have the honor of serving as the intern for the Office of Budget Management for the summer. I've been here for about 4 weeks. And in that time, I've gotten to work really closely with Director Metzger, a lot of our fiscal officers, and amazing staff over at OBM. Really are wonderful, our civil servants. Working to grow in my skills in economics, looking at modeling, data analysis, and trend identification, as well as learning some more about actual accounting, looking at the variances between government, private sector, all of those sorts of things. Specifically looking and investigating our fire and pension liabilities as they stand currently. Also then looking at healthcare and workers' comp projections going forward, as well as doing a little bit of work on our audit, which is upcoming. I'm super thankful for this internship. It's really meaningful to be able to find a good paid internship for the summer as a college student, both to kind of take care of some of the college financing, but also to gain real-world experience. And the city of Springfield is really, really, truly a wonderful place to be doing that. We really have a lot of really incredible people here to be able to learn from, build relationships, and work professionally along with them. And in that same kind of breath, being able to do some of those things that aren't necessarily day-to-day and bigger projects that allow our departments here to be able to look bigger things, project more for the future, and sort of get out of some of that nitty-gritty and provide some of those new perspectives. Also just want to shout out the mayor for being able to listen to our interns. She's having meetings with a number of us and being able to really work together to try and solve a lot of these big issues that the city's facing with some new perspectives, and simultaneously also with all of our amazing ID people and ideas already here. And so finally, just want to thank again OBM, the mayor's office, and HR for providing this opportunity. Thank you guys for keeping it in the budget, and I hope you guys do keep going forward. Thank you.
And I want to tell Luke thank you. Luke has some outside of the box thinking on revenues and expenses, and I'm very thankful for your forethought.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Irish luck.
Thank you.
Director Raising is going to bring an intern up.
Good evening, Aldermen and Alderwomen and Mayor. It's my pleasure to tell you that I want to introduce you to Lillian Messina, who joined OPED. And at OPED, we always talk about it being a team, and we like to say if you take the capital M in me and the E, and you flip it upside down, it becomes we, not me, we. And so she joined our team, jumped right in. We warned her during our interview process that a lot of it would be a lot of paperwork. And that's indeed what she did. She helped us to maintain order in things that sometimes we said needs to be filed, but we need to move on so we can help this next person in line and the next person with their project. So she jumped right into all of that, and at the same time got to learn about all of that, sat in on meetings and so on and so forth. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about it before she heads back to Carbondale. She's entering her 3rd year in microbiology, and we said, now gosh, we are not doing microbiology in OPED, but what I got to tell you about her degree has led her to an attention to detail that is beyond rapport. And furthermore, she says lots of times she's working with a microscope and she doesn't get to work with people. So that's what she loved. And finally, I want to conclude by I've never met anyone that's so eager to say, what can I do next? So this is what youth like Lillian want to do. They want to be involved and they want to be engaged, and we're so proud that we had her in OPED.
Good evening. My name is Lillian. Like she said, I'm a microbiology student, and I think it was a big pleasure to serve the community. I've always been one in my degree to say that I look at a petri dish every day. I look at the white walls of my laboratory, and I don't see the impact that I have on people. I came to the city, and my experience with the city was seeing the impact that OPED and the city as a whole has on people. The grants that we do change lives. when you look at your dish and when you look at your work, you want to go home and feel like you've done something in your community. And I was so grateful to work with the current grants that we have going on, such as our cannabis grants, our TIF grants, but also to go back in time, to look at our older grants, to organize that so that we can move on in a productive way. When you don't have that paper trail going, it is so, so hard to budget and see where we can continue to move on, how we can continue to impact our community. But it was truly a pleasure to see every day, go into meetings, see how we impact the community. I have to say that I really got a lot more experience playing interpersonal skills. I got to work on things that double back into my major. People show this big difference between working with the city and working in science, but they go hand in hand so remarkably well. Because as scientists, we need all of you. We want to see what we're doing in the community, and that was the remarkable thing of being with OPED. We helped more people this year than ever. Your interns are people who want to go out and do things and see how they impact the community. I want to finish by just saying how eternally grateful I am. I would go back to school and I would tell people about this. Not just to say, here's what I've done, but to say, you can impact the community. You just have to take the time to see the ways and find places you can do it in.
So can we all give Luke and Lily a round of applause? Our future is very bright, so thank you. Before we move with Alderman Hanauer's desire, we have a few housekeeping details to take care of. So the chair would like to entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the July 21st, 2026 regular city council meeting and approve the minutes.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this council meeting.
So moved, Mayor. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda into the record of this council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes,
Alderman
Mayor.
Williams?
Yeah, I would like to take 2026-346 and move it to the debate agenda tonight. Second.
So we have a motion and a second to remove 2026-346 and put it on the debate agenda. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So clerk, you got that 2026-346? Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. I think it's open. Is it on?
Ready, Joe?
Okay, there we go. Better? Okay, so the motion passes with 8 voting yes, none voting no. Now we will allow Alderman Hanauer to make a motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we bring 2026-360 to the front of the debate.
Second.
Second.
So we have a motion from Alderman Hanauer to bring 2026-360 forward. We have a first and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor with bringing it forward, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The item on the agenda is 2026-360, an ordinance approving the appointment of Doris Turner to the Mid-Illinois Medical District Commission. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item number 2026-360 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the ordinance itself? Senator, would you like to come up and say anything?
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I'm really glad that I had an opportunity to hear from the interns. I think that internship programs are remarkable. I started one about 4 years ago, and it really gives students an opportunity to get some real-world experience and learn what it's actually like to go to work every day. So it's very beneficial to everybody. So I'm excited to be here. This is like the third time I've been back in the chamber since I left in February of 21. One was when I came when Jeanette was retiring. The other was when I came to try to talk the judge out of giving me have me pay a ticket for parking. And I was doing really well. I was doing really, really well until I find out they take pictures. And he looked at me and said, Ms. Turner, are you sure you want to continue? No. Not at all. But I do want to thank you for the opportunity to serve on the Mid-Illinois Medical District. And I know that people will ask you questions and say, why do you think that she's a good choice for this? And I will tell you that I have always had a passion and worked very hard in healthcare and providing access to affordable, reliable healthcare. Was 32 years at the Illinois Department of Public Health, developing, implementing, and sending forth programs, working with collaborators at the local, county, state, and national and international level, that some phenomenal programs that have really become models for what we do each and every day, saving lives. And I currently serve on the Sangamon County Board of Health, and and in the Illinois State Senate, serve on a number of different committees where healthcare is really a focal point of it. So this is where I like to play, and I really feel that I have a lot to offer with the district. I think that we have a tremendous opportunity. Springfield is home to some of the most phenomenal healthcare in all of the world. People come here from everywhere for healthcare. And I think that with the expansion of the medical district and where we're looking, there's a real opportunity for economic gain to expand what we're doing in healthcare, and really looking at what we can do around housing. Everybody talks about the need for housing. You just heard Heartland House here. So around housing. So I'm excited and ready to go. And I could talk forever about this, and I'll stop there, but happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions from the alders for Senator Turner? Just thank you,
Roy,
Senator.
you don't have a question?
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice. I'm doing good tonight.
Senator Turner, thank you for representing the city of Springfield in the Mid-Illinois District. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. All those in favor of the motion will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the motion passes with 8 voting yes, none voting no. So congratulations, you're welcome. Agenda item numbers 2026-294 and 2026-339 remain tabled or in committee. We have one that we need to, if we could get a motion to pull out 2026-294. Could I get a motion for that?
So move. Second.
We have a motion and a second to pull out 2026-294. Any discussion on pulling that out of the committee? Seeing none, all those in favor of pulling that out, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So it looks like the first item on our agenda then will be 2026-294. An ordinance approving, I have the amended one, so I need to get the original one in front of me. There we go. An ordinance approving a renewal of a telecommunications contract service agreement with the University of Illinois Board of Trustees on behalf of the University of Illinois Springfield for the Office of Public Utilities.
Motion to adopt Amendment 1.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt amendment number 1 in front of you. Corporation Counsel, can you just explain what the amendment does?
Sure. The amendment explains that this is actually going to be a new contract. Changes the monthly amount from $700.70 to $700 per month, and then it also adds a 500 megabits bandwidth rate, which was not included in the previous contract.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second and discussion. Alderman Gregory.
Just real quick, Corporation
Is this
Counsel?
on the amendment? Sorry, I have to ask that.
Yes, it
Okay.
is. No.
Perfect.
Corporation Counsel, just a question. Exhibit A shows UIS Main Campus Health and Science Building, UIS Innovate Springfield, Horace Mann Plaza. Is this where the office will be located? Thank you.
That's my understanding.
Has it always been located there, or is this a change?
I don't believe it's changed, but I would defer to CWLP.
No problem. No problem. Thank you.
We have representatives here. Do you want me to ask them,
No.
Alderman? Okay.
I was just asking.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment itself? All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. So now we have the ordinance as amended. Any discussion on the ordinance as amended? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. It's not open yet. Do you need us to take a roll call vote, Joanna? Yes, okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor, point of order, can I just formally
Alderman
make the
Donlin?
motion to adopt as amended?
Oh, sorry. Motion and a second to
Yes.
adopt the ordinance as amended. And then all those in favor of the ordinance as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now the clerk will do a roll call vote because our voting will not work on our computers for this.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Alderman Cox?
Yes.
Alderman Gregory?
Yes.
Alderman Williams?
Yes.
Alderman Netriano?
Yes.
Alderman Carlson?
Aye.
Alderwoman Conley? Alderman Donlin?
Aye.
Alderman Hanover? Aye. Mayor Busher?
I don't have to vote, but, yeah. So we have, the motion passes with 8 voting yes, none voting no. And so that will move us on to the next item on our agenda, which would be item number 2026-346. I'm getting to that in my packet. This is an ordinance accepting proposal number 25-10 with Landis Plus GYR for CWLP Advanced Metering Infrastructure AMI Communication System in an amount not to exceed $12,799,831.51 for a 15-year period for the Office of Public Utilities. So can I get a motion to put this item on consent?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to put this on consent. Discussion. Alderman Williams?
Debate.
Sorry.
To approve.
To approve.
To
Sorry,
approve.
not on consent. We have a motion and a second to approve. Would that be okay, Alderman Hanauer and Alderman
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Thank you. And Alderman Williams, you have discussion, it looks like.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would ask the director to come up or one of his representatives, please. So, this is big, I did finally get the time to really dig into it and look over this thing. And there's some confusion on my part. So I developed some questions that I sent out to my colleagues. Some may have gotten them, some may not have, but I sent them to Mr. Griffin. And I sent them to yourself. Did you receive those questions?
Yeah, I responded.
Oh, you responded already?
Yeah.
Okay, as I came here to come to council, I hadn't seen it, so.
I sent him back, Mr. Griffin sent him to me. I responded back to him
Okay.
probably 3
Well, I'm gonna ask these questions because we're not gonna delay it till I get to go home and read the response, so we might as well go through with it. So like I said, I think this is, big for the utility, and I think it's big for Springfield, but like always, we throw things on consent without taking the time to really understand or know, at least to give me the time to understand and know. So I'm taking this time at this time without holding up consent. I know it's gonna pass, but my first question deals with this actual ordinance itself and its relationship to the previous ordinances. Can you tell me how this all comes together or goes together?
Yeah, the original ordinance, we sent out an RFP. The company sent back the signed RFP, and we put that together as an ordinance. What happened was they didn't fully vet that with their legal team, basically. So then the legal team seen it, and then they started asking questions. So we ended up splitting up into 3 ordinances. I'm gonna guess primarily, I was not involved in the negotiations directly, but it's probably just by business unit. That's why it's 3 separate ordinances.
Okay.
So this, I'm not sure what information you get. At the bottom of the sheets I have, the very bottom of it, it says that this replaces ordinance 4049, I think it was, 40. I
Okay,
forgot
in the
number.
package.
But yeah, it
Okay.
completely,
Yeah.
these 3 ordinances combined completely replaced that one ordinance.
Well, so, and I did read that as well, but what I'm getting at, where my confusion came in was, when you total those 3 up, it came to like 16.
Yep.
And then the older one that we passed previously, for water, I believe, maybe only water?
No, it was only electric.
Only electric?
Yep.
But was that a pilot program?
We had done a pilot with Landis and Gear and different companies in the past, so. Are you talking about the most recent ordinance that
Well, so,
we're,
and again, I'm growing on this stuff, so it was like a percentage that you guys did, a percentage of the homes.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
did.
what, like you did 100% meters
we did some pilots for different companies.
for different.
Yeah.
Okay, so, if I take the 14, you know, from previous, and the 16, so when we're talking a county, are we adding that together, or did one replace the other?
No, these three ordinances combined, which are, I believe it is 16 million.
Yeah.
Replaced the original
Thank you.
ordinance for 12.
Thank you, that's
It
what I
it
want.
included software as a service, it included some maintenance agreements that were not in the originals.
Yeah,
So it's
that
now a 15-year agreement for maintenance and for housing the information, data collection.
Helps me a lot. The second question I had is, what other cities or utilities use this system in
There's a-
Illinois?
In Illinois, ooh,
Probably at least 10 that I could think of.
Okay, so, well, my research, and again, I'm a novice, you guys are the experts. I could find Metropolis, a small town, Flora, a small town, and Breeze, a small town. So I was hoping to hear more compatible sized cities, like our city, you know, at that level in Illinois, being used. But I guess your examples come from outside the state?
the
Pretty
majority,
much.
yeah. Landis & Gear is a very large company in this footprint. They're one of the primary players in it.
Okay, appreciate that. The source of payment for these ordinance expenditures. I saw a code, I think, I don't have it, I'm sorry. I think it was a reference, budget. It referenced the code, but accounting line is what I was looking for, or line, you know, what account
Fund 102.
was this funding coming from?
So this will come out of our capital renewable account,
Capital what?
our capital account. So it's, if you look at a public works, they call it Fund 95. Ours
Yes.
is just a renewable account. It's our capital account. So we refinanced bonds in 2024. And when we refinanced them, there was roughly $24 million in savings for those bonds. So we took that savings for the first 2 years and we put it in an account for this. So this is completely being funded by the refinancing of our bonds in 2024.
And that amount was 20,000?
20
20
it was
million.
It was roughly 24 million. It was 12 million for 2 years and some change. I don't remember the exact number. It's roughly 24 million.
When will the meter installation work be completed?
Roughly 3 years.
So to take 3 years?
So, give you a little background on that. The first thing that has to happen is we have to, kind of the way the structure is set up, is we have to procure all the equipment. They do.
Yeah.
You know, from them. So they have to deliver all the equipment. Then they have to install, basically it's a mesh network. So then they have to start installing repeaters and get them in place. So what'll happen is the meters, each meter itself is a radio signal, and it will go to a repeater. And if it can't get the repeater that's closest to it, it can go to another meter and go to another repeater somewhere. So it is a big mesh network that just communicates all itself. So all that has to be in place. Then they'll start doing installing the meters. And to give you a rough idea, we have 20 cycles for meter reads. Corresponds with 5 days a week, 4 weeks in a month. So every month, we do 20 cycles of meter reads. So when you do that, you can't just, to give you, we have 70,000 meters and 20 cycles. So what happens is you have to break that down into small pieces. Because when you do a cycle, you don't want to leave a meter out for a day because you're going to miss energy usage or the power's off the house. So we can only do so many per day, per cycle. Then the next day, we'll go to the next cycle and replace meters there. So it's an iterative process. You might have your meter, but your neighbor may not get theirs because we couldn't get to it that month when we're doing that cycle of meter reads.
Okay, so when I'm talking timing, I can still say in the 3 years, they will be fully operational.
Fully operational for the
Okay.
electric side.
what is the cost savings and the service benefits from an AMI system to our customers?
So
Not to the city, but to our customers.
Sure. So for the customers, it will be we'll be able to offer different programs, knowing usage and knowing how much because this will be real-time data. I say real-time, it's not every second. But right now, our current AMRs, we only get one reading a month. These, we can get a reading every hour or whatever we want to program it to. So we'll have a better idea of all of our customers and what their energy usages are. Then we can figure out what incentives we can do to help the customers save money during high peak loads or different things like that.
Okay,
Time
so
of use rates. This will open up a lot of opportunities where we can help customers more. We'll have more data, be able to help them reduce their energy bills.
okay, so we'll be able to give them ideals and incentives based on their record or their usage record.
Yes.
That type of thing, because, I mean, I think it's amazing. I just think the system that we're trying to move to is great. I just needed to really understand it because, I mean, I was so shocked that just at a touch of a button, you can shut it off.
Yeah, and you know, from the utility standpoint, that is a big bonus for us because now instead of having a crew go out and have to shut a meter off for non-payment or whatever it is, or even, you know, somebody's moving out, they still have to send a crew out there to read that meter. Now, it's automatic.
Okay, to be out. Okay, so let's move, so to water. So when the water meter upgrade system is completed, what time frame do you think that'll be?
We haven't even got to the water meters. The problem with water meters, the electric meter, if you think of it, you walk up to the house, pull the ring off, take that meter out, you plug another meter in. It's a 5-minute process as long as nothing goes wrong. When you're looking at water meters, most of those meters are in our pit underground connected to copper pipe. So to do that, you have to shut the water off. You have to disconnect all that piping, put a meter in. Now, there's options to put stuff on top of it, but the problem is when it's in a pit with a cast iron lid, sometimes it's hard to get that information out. So then there's a device you can put on top of the lid or put into the lid that can get that repeater out. So typically what we've been doing with water is as we're replacing meters, they've been replacing them with these readers or with what they call ERTs on top of the lids. So we will continue that and we'll go to new devices to be able to read to this network.
Okay, timeline, it's going to be years out?
It's going to be a long time.
Well, and I just believe in being upfront with the people because, you know, there's a few who have said, well, you guys raised the rates on what, you know, to justify, and I've never said it is what I told them in the meeting. I've never, you know, said it was a trade-off. We're doing this because we're going to be bringing these new meters. I just think, I didn't know if it was electric or water, but I knew I would ask this question.
You know. Yeah, the electric's putting this network in. Water will be able to use the same network.
It will be a little later in later years.
It'll be later.
Okay, and then I'll wrap it up because I know, let's see. So with these expenditures and required electric or water rate, will there be you coming back asking for increases?
No, that's
in
one
the
of the,
future?
when we refinanced the bonds, that was what we
That took
earmarked
care of
that
it.
savings for,
Okay.
was to put the AMI system. Yep.
Well, I thank you for taking the time to allow, this is kind of what I think we should do more of, especially with big money items. So I said, well, I got to practice what I preach. Instead of just going along with the consent, sometimes it's going to take me time, but I got to force myself to learn, to try to read it. I feel much better about it. I always thought it sounded good, but a lot of stuff that comes up here with a pretty picture or sounds good is good. I will say this to you, Director. One of the things I read that kind of disturbed me was this utility commission, city council utility commission, and it is in our code. And it states that we should be having these meetings and engagement again with the public, something that I think.
Alderman, can you stay to the ordinance, please?
Yeah, you know, that I think we should make sure we're doing, that this committee, I'm saying commission, but
No, I
actually.
wasn't asking about your microphone. We're on an ordinance. We're discussing it right now. We need to discuss the
Okay,
ordinance.
this
I
is
can come to
still-
new or old
This is still
business.
to the ordinance. This is still to the subject matter of what we're going to approve, Mayor. Thank you. So all I'm saying is, a lot of these questions I asked, if we would be doing our committee work, you know, the way I understand it from the code is we should be doing it here, right here in this horseshoe, maybe right before, right after committee. When's the last time this committee met?
I couldn't tell you.
Because the code says quarterly. We should be doing this quarterly. Not to beat up or to take away from what we're very past. I'm just letting you know this is how it'll stop some of what we're going through right now. So I appreciate you coming. And please get back with me on this committee. It's called City Council Utility Committee. We're supposed to be meeting quarterly. I think it's 31.
Any other questions,
20.
Alderman?
That type of thing. Thank you.
Alderman Gregory?
Yes, as I was talking last week, I was concerned about minority representation on the work, and I know that will be coming, and we'll address that then. And we discussed on rollout and ensuring that the east side of town, particularly Ward 2, is not left last, as we often are in things. So, you know, I want to, Corporation Council, I want to put something in this that at least requires a report on as we set up this infrastructure. So when we get it at council on an annual basis, probably after budget season, that we can ensure that a fair rollout is going to be coming to the city. And that's you know, that's
So
just
to give you a rough idea, we've done some discussion with them. What they typically like to do is they will start towards the center of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is then you look at it like a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
They start putting the repeaters in the center, and then they start branching out from there.
Okay.
So it just depends on, you know, billing cycles. Like I said, you might get your meter this week, and your neighbor 3 houses down may not get their meter until the next month.
I understand there's some complexities there. I just want to make sure that we, you know, my responsibility is to make sure that our community is getting their fair share. We know historically that has not happened, you know, even among to this day. And I don't want to be waiting till certain seasons. So Corporation Council, the amendment that I would like to look at, I'm going to be simple. KISS, keep it simple, stupid, right? So it'll just be simple.
Are we trying to, Alderman, can I interrupt you for a moment? Sorry, are you trying to change the contract
No,
from
ma'am.
the vendor?
Nope. I'm just asking for.
Okay. I was just trying to figure out what the actual.
So my amendment would be that CWLP provides us a report on, as we roll out of the progress. It can be in every ward, but of the progress of these AMI readers and the equipment.
With that, I mean, we can do that, but would that be more appropriate to be included in the ordinance for actual installation? Because it's my understanding that this is just purchasing and then the software service and doesn't actually touch on the rollout.
Correct.
So there will be an ordinance forthcoming for installation, I think is what he's saying.
If you want it on the, I don't even know that Landis and Gear, are they going to direct how this gets installed, or would that be the person bidding on the installation?
It'd be in the RFP for the installation.
Make it a part of the RFP.
I wasn't really referring. I'm gonna we'll deal with the portion of that. But within this ordinance, after we purchase this equipment, they're also going to be working on what locations, what billing cycles, all of those things before we send people out to work. All that's got to be figured out. Am I correct in that? And they're going to be doing this after.
That will be in coordination with whoever's doing the work of actually installing the meters.
Will any of this, will we be doing, so we're going to buy this equipment for $12 million and we're just going to set it somewhere, we're not going to do anything else?
No, they will install the equipment, but there will be no meters installed with that.
Okay.
So they have to set up the network.
Right.
Then once the network's set up, then we'll have a contractor come in and start putting the meters in. And that's where, to get your information, that's where it'd be better fit.
I think you're concerned about the residential units and when they're getting them, and I think he's saying that's the meter portion.
Okay. I just want to make sure that as we set up to install this stuff, that we're thinking about the entire city. I don't want to, see the east side left out or slow rolled or any of that.
Well, so to get to that, so when you look at our billing cycle,
Mm-hmm.
there's, like I said, there's 5 days in a week. typically 4 weeks in a month. So there's 20 cycles every month. So we will hit every cycle every month. And then it'll just keep going until we get all of, to give you an idea, there's 70,000 meters roughly, 20 billing cycles. There's 3,500 meters in each billing cycle, average. There's no way we're going to get 3,500 meters in a day. So, we'll get as many in a day as we can. Then the next day we'll go to the next billing cycle, and it'll just continue. So it'll just keep going around until we get the majority of them installed.
Okay. I'll hold off for any amendments until the work piece comes and we're actually putting those things out. I do trust you, and I trust your counterpart as far as what you're saying, but this system, I don't, so I always look.
As we get to installing meters, we can do monthly reports, weekly reports, however, we can do that. Monthly would probably be better. That'll give you a better idea each month where every billing cycle is and how many meters we've got in that billing cycle.
All right, that works. Thank you.
Any other discussion from any of the alders on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, are we okay, Joanna, okay, voting will now be open. All those in favor of the ordinance will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the motion passes with 8 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is 2026-357, an ordinance authorizing the re-obligation of ARPA budget authority with Sangamon County Water Reclamation District for installation of sanitary sewers on a property at Lake Springfield in an amount not to exceed $710,036.12 for the Office of Public Works. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item number 2026-357 on final passage.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this particular ordinance? Alderman Gregory.
And I'm just making clear, Corporation Councilor Dave, this work has already been completed. Am I correct in that?
It's my understanding, yes.
Do you want Director Fuchs to come up?
He can give you a thumbs up, thumbs down. He ain't got to walk up here. I know that. I won't. You're fine.
And your question again, sir?
This payment is for work that's already been completed. Will there be any new work?
This is a contract that was let to connect residences at the lake to the existing sewer system. So we're working to complete that contract.
To complete that contract, right?
I think the contract has been awarded. Would that be right, Director Fuchs?
Absolutely.
I don't know who's doing the work.
The work's going on off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So this extra 700,000, is it extra? Does it cost us more, or is this just a complete? How many more houses we got on the lake?
I gave you all a list of the houses last week. I don't have it with me.
So let me say this. So I guess what I'm getting at is I checked our minority records on another project, lead lines, and we're at like 2%, right? And a lot of the work that we push out and a lot of the things that we do, we're not seeing good minority numbers, or local numbers for that matter. And I thought that's what we're all about. I thought we're all about minority numbers. So, I'll say this, I'm not gonna put it in now. I'll address this in new business, but I'm really, really, really disappointed in our contractors who have contracts and the workforce that's on them. Often as I ride and I see different projects going on throughout the city, we don't see a lot of diversity on those projects, and that's very concerning. And often, yes, it's loaded up when one group of workforce is there, the laborers, and then those numbers go down when they leave. And so we have some opportunity in some other areas. And I certainly want to work with everyone to do that and try to see some good faith efforts in those. And we've seen some of them, some of our contractors do and some of them don't. What's so crazy? It's just 10%. It's just 10%. That's our goal, 10%. We ain't going to the popular place thing, 33% or nothing like that. Just 10%. And if we put this 10% on here, everybody up here be mad at me. But it's 10%. That's like 2 people. 2 people of color. And those things are important. We look at housing prices, we look at all those things that Harlan Continuum of Care spoke on. Those things only get better by involving everybody in our city in the projects that we have. I see there's some other, Cox, let me think for a second and go ahead and do your thing.
Any other discussion, Alderman Gregory? Okay, Alderman Cox?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Director. So to answer your question, I think there are 201 properties around the lake. There's like 4 neighborhoods, so to speak, 4 or 5, that still need the hookup. And I just, actually, Clerk Redpath, I think I verbally asked to be a co-sponsor on this. I didn't send you an email or anything. So if I'm not too late, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And so, I mean, all we're doing here is trying to keep the nasty stuff from seeping into our lake, and I think everybody's cool with that part of it. As far as, I know you said you're not impressed with the minority and the local. I can tell you what, and Director, you'd probably be the better guy to ask. This is a pretty unique system, and it's my understanding there's not a ton of contractors that do this, so I don't know if we can find anybody actually local. If we can, great, but I don't know if there's anybody within 100 miles of here that actually does this work. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but just to kind of touch on that. But anyway, I would just appreciate everybody's support. I know the people that are still on septic are really looking forward to getting this moving forward so that they can be on a regular sewer system. And so I'd appreciate everybody's support. Thank you so much. Thank you, Director.
Alderman Gregory, if you don't mind for one moment, the Director did, I think, send an email about the re-obligation and what that meant. Can I ask you just to explain that, Director Metzger?
Sure. So, under the U.S. Treasury, under the compliance for the use of state and local fiscal recovery funds, under their FAQ 17.19, amounts can be reallocated or reclassified. For example, addressing cost overruns, or if there's change orders or unused obligations, which is what we have in this situation, the unused obligations. And provided that the original contract for the obligation was executed by 12/31/2024, and any amendments that we're doing like tonight are within the same scope and purpose, we're able to reallocate the funds so that we don't lose those funds. If we don't reallocate the funds to these projects, to the open existing projects, then we won't be able to spend them through at December 31st of 2026, and we will have to remit the funds back to the U.S. Treasury. So this is the means that the U.S. Treasury is allowing us to repurpose the funds.
Thank you. I didn't know if that would help any of your questions. Alderman Gregory, just wanted her to explain that. Alderman Gregory?
No, I definitely understand that, thank you. And I did look at that, that's where I got that information from, just looking on ARPA and going back to my mind refreshing, since that was some time ago. But, you know, I looked up what type of jobs. In fact, there is a amendment prepared, Murdoch, and you know, the director's telling me that there is going to be some finishing work, and this was looking at the records, I got my head turned because I ain't changed it, but, you know, this is a $10 million project. I dare ask the minority representation on it. And I get it, there are specialty companies, but when those companies come to Springfield, they have to contact our local unions. And there's digging in this, there's some things in this that they can simply call over to the laborers and get some minorities, easy. And I think that's only fair out of almost $11 million situation. And Murdoch, I would like to introduce that amendment. And that only requires, not requires, it sets our goal at 10%. That's what it is as a city policy, at 10%. But it also has some language in there about, and Alderwoman Purchase talked about it before, about good faith efforts and showing that you actually made those efforts. And that's what it simply is. It's nothing drastic. It's 10%. I'd like to introduce that.
Alderman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you asking to amend a current contract that had already been signed then?
This $700,000, this is obviously money added to a contract. So this portion of $700,000.
I don't think so, and I'll defer to OBM.
Okay.
I think
How
we're
about
changing
this?
how we're paying for it.
Okay.
funding.
Yeah.
If we don't do this, the sewer fund has already incurred these contract obligations.
All right.
So we're able to use the ARPA funds
Sure.
as a payment source instead of general sewer.
In lieu of the sewer money. So that's why I was saying it's an existing contract.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. So on this existing contract, how about, Mr. Peters, you good, Dave? Mr. Peters, can you just get us the minority participation on this $10 million that has been spent on the lakeside, numbers? Or can anybody get us some minority numbers on this particular project and what that was looking at?
The budget director's taking notes because I don't believe the purchasing agent is here, Alderman.
Okay. Oh, man, I got him confused. My fault.
That's okay, she's taking notes.
All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
Any other discussion from the alders? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no.
I hear you.
And the motion passes with 8 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is 2026-359, an ordinance authorizing a 1-year extension of a lease agreement with Springfield, Illinois African American History Foundation, DBA, the Springfield and Central Illinois African American History Museum, for property located at 1440 Monument Avenue. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item number 2026-359 on final passage.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this ordinance? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed would vote no. I think he's trying to get it to work.
We gotta get a new system. This is ridiculous.
Do you have a touch screen? Does it work? Touch your screen, touch the,
I've
okay.
touched it,
All
I touched it
right.
10 times and then had to use a mouse.
The motion passes with 8 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is item number 2026-360, an ordinance approving, oh, we just did that, sorry. The next item on the agenda is 2026-382, an ordinance authorizing grant number 27-0155 ORC from the State of Illinois Office of Attorney General in an amount not to exceed $82,000 for the Organized Retail Crime Grant Program and authorizing a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $82,000 for the Springfield Police Department for emergency passage. The chair will entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second, and I believe, Chief Beal, there was an email that went to the alders about this. Would that be correct? Okay. Any discussion from the alders or any questions on this emergency passage item? Alderman Williams. Do you want the chief to come to the podium? Sorry.
I think you can answer.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Why is it emergency?
That would be the chief, not me. Yeah, chief? The question, chief, was why is it on emergency passage?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The last minute nature of us getting the approval and then getting this back to the Attorney General's office, they're impatiently awaiting the signatures to get this money pushed over and then getting the reporting back to them by the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the motion passes with 8 voting yes and 1 voting no. We are into old business now. I would like to thank everyone that came to National Night Out last night. I know we're off on our schedule, so thank you to all the constituents that came to. We had many National Night Out events in the city, so many that some of us cannot make all of them at once. But thank you all for coming out, and thank you to the neighborhoods who hosted those. That was very good. Any other old business? Alderman Gregory.
Yes, this is old business. So we recently, Alderman Conley, we passed a citywide program, and I think that it is a good program. We updated the tree portion of it. And I can tell you that family members who live, on one side outside of TIPS and outside of cannabis grants, are happy and excited about it. And their counterparts, their family that is on the east side and in TIPS and things of that nature, they're sad because they don't have these same things. So I think that it's important, Director, and, I'll work with anybody, but we got to update all of our information so it matches the best we can, so she's not juggling so many programs. it is so, you know, and the lady who lives in the citywide program makes great money. She feel bad. She don't even want to take the money to cut her tree down because her family member who's in the poorest area of the city doesn't have this option. And this is just a policy change that I just want to let y'all know that I'm working on and that we need to work on together. Enos Park has a TIF as well. We haven't touched any adjustments to them. It's time for us to adjust them and help them out in that area as well. And because it's just causing confusion and even among families who live on separate sides of town. You know, they think of each other. And so I just want to speak on that in general. We have had some questions. Everybody had called us. Unfortunately, the citywide program, if you live in a TIF or cannabis district, you can't use those. That's fine. But I just want us to always remember that those things come from our fines. They come from our fines. We don't know where those fines come from, but, you know, we're cutting out a large section of the community. Can't use that. Who paying, you know, where those fines are coming from. So, no harm, no foul. I just want to work on our TIFs, our cannabis grants, and other TIF districts and areas so they have tree access to address their dead and fallen trees as well, especially in the oldest parts of town. I think that is right and just for us to do. And that is all my old business. Everything else is new.
Okay, Alderman Williams, you have old business?
Yes. And I'll start off with the same subject matter. And Director, if you can come up, Director Amy, please. This mayor, this citywide, initially I thought it was great too, but then the calls I've been getting, there's confusion. There's a lot of confusion out there right now. It appears that we have said it's okay to use citywide for trees, not you, not your department, but us, the city council. And my question is, were we in error in doing that? Because we did two things with citywide that got me in some hot water. One of them deals with the level. They can make 120,000. Of course, in the TIF, there's a much lower amount and this and that, you know, as far as earning to be able to qualify. They can make up to 100, what's 75% or whatever, only the.
No, it's different.
Well, I'll let you correct me in a second and tell me, but it is higher. Why aren't these things the same, corporate counsel? It seems like we got a program, they're both TIFs in a way, or one started off, it was the real TIFs, and then we got a copycat version with all these extra perks, is what it looks like, only because people are now being told, oh no, if you live in a TIF or in a marijuana, and why they connect the marijuana to it, I don't know, then you guys can't apply for citywide. Citywide is for people that don't have these things. I'm fine with that if all the rules were exactly the same.
Alderman, you voted on that ordinance.
I'm not saying I didn't, and I wasn't talking to you.
No,
if you would just
yelled
wait,
at the
would
corporation
you just
council
point
and the
order?
director. I'm in
I have the
charge
floor.
tonight.
I know, but I had the floor.
But you-
And you constantly do this. You do like everybody else and wait your turn if you have something to say. I had the floor. And all I'm explaining is the confusion. It's a real thing. Yes, I voted on it. That's why I'm bringing it up, saying I'm in hot water. I'm in trouble. We have two different programs that I thought were going to be the same. Just one was going to be called citywide to represent all those neighborhoods that wasn't in the original TIFs that the state affairs or whoever created the TIF districts and came up with that thing. That's all I thought we was doing. So I thought, oh, great, this is going to help them. Now people outside the TIFs can get some of this stuff. But then when we started adding on, but they can do trees over here, but over here they can't. That's what I need to hear from you, Director.
It's okay, Director. I'll follow up with the alderman later. Thank you. Alderwoman Notriano.
No, hold up.
I'm going to follow up with you
You're
later.
going to fall. I'm not finished.
She doesn't.
I'm
telling
not
her she's-
finished though, Mayor.
Then discuss it with me, please.
No, I want to finish asking her a question. She's a director and she makes a lot of money. Are you telling me she can't answer my question?
You can address it to me, sir.
I don't want to ask you. I want to ask the director.
The citywide program was not the director's program, so I'm asking you to ask.
Okay, so then I won't ask you. Aaron, was that your intentions for them to be so different?
Ask your questions to
I'm
the
not
chair,
going to ask
please.
you, Mayor.
I'm the chair, Alderwoman Collins.
So what? You're the chair, but I'm doing nothing wrong. I'm asking questions. You're wrong. You're trying to not let something come out that you don't want to come out. I'll need the corporate counsel or that director to tell me why are we being discriminatory? Because that's what this is turning into. And you're playing games, making it worse.
I'm not. The city.
Well, then let them answer.
Can I finish now?
No, because I had the floor, not you.
All right, then just keep talking.
I had the floor, not you. Can your director come back up? If she can't, that's fine too. Sponsor, you want to reply to me, or you want to?
Mayor, may I reply?
Do you mind
You're
if I
chairing the
reply
meeting.
for a minute?
Sorry?
Do you mind if I reply for a
I
second?
mean, you're chair of the meeting, so
I've been told I'm not, so.
She wasn't told she's not. She's told she didn't have the floor. That I had the floor.
And I'm asking, as the chair who's chairing the meeting, may I respond to this as a sponsor of this program?
Sure, go right ahead.
I just want to be really clear, Alderman. So because my ward doesn't have a TIF or other incentive area in it, I didn't feel like it would be appropriate for me to lead the charge to change rules in other programs. The citywide grew out of issues that I saw in my ward. I have low-income residents who were also struggling to make repairs. So when I say, I mean, yes, they're three different independent programs with three different independent pots of funding to fund them. I would certainly support and vote for amendments to both of those programs so that we can bring all this in. I will tell you, yeah, the tree branch thing was actually a floor amendment because we had just had all of these people dealing with these massive storms and kind of the residue of that, you know, how that impacted them. So I would say certainly, I would even, if I didn't feel comfortable, I didn't feel like it was my place to take the lead in amending a program that didn't really touch my ward at all, that none of those touched my ward except citywide. And that's why I initially started that program. But I would support and co-sponsor, if you want to, amendments to bring this kind of language to the other programs. The changes in citywide modeled after Alderman Gregory's modifications to the cannabis program. And that was why I brought that forward. Like, he did a great job with that. We should have that for citywide too. So it's kind of, these programs do sort of naturally build on each other. It's never intended to separate. It's supposed to be a lift up for everybody. So I understand your concerns about it, but I do want to be really clear that the changes to citywide, other than the clawback provision, which, but those to include some of that interior modifications and those improvements, I actually modeled that on what Alderman Gregory brought forward for cannabis. So I hope you understand there's no intent here to pit anyone against each other. The intent was just to, as we build these programs, as we see the implementation of them and where those needs exist, that we make sure that we add on to them. The tree thing was a last minute addition. That's the one thing that wasn't already in cannabis. And I think, you know, if it's something that's a great need and that's something we need to look at and modify, let's have the conversation. I will certainly support you if you want to bring that forward.
Well, I thank you, and I thank you for your response. That's all I was trying to get at. I was trying to say it's unequal right now. And I understand what my people are saying. Well, those folks can do trees, I can't, but it's still the same. I'm the poor person, not them. Secondly, I'll ask you why you're the sponsor on the 75% higher income. What is that all about?
So what that is the program is based off the federal poverty rate.
Yes.
So it's not, you can't earn the 120, no way. You cannot earn six figures and be eligible for this program. It's what we did was increase above what that federal poverty rate was. And I don't have the numbers in my head or right in front of me, but it's, I believe for a family of four even, it's like maybe 60,000, if even that, maybe
higher
even.
than that.
You think it's higher than that?
Because it's like 60, I believe, for an individual.
It's not, it is, but it's nowhere near the six figures that you were talking about.
Well, and that's why I'm here to
And again,
ask.
and I think for cannabis, if that's something else where we have, because we do. There's no income criteria. So in a way, the cannabis program is more generous than the citywide program. Citywide, you have to meet that federal income level. I was hearing from my constituents that because the federal level is, given the cost of everything else that we've got going on, the federal level income level is not real high compared to the reality of what
I
people
agree.
are dealing with.
I agree with
And so
you.
that was why, that was part of my consideration, was to bump that up, to make it eligible to just a slightly larger range of residents. So again, I really built off of where cannabis was going.
Yeah. Well, I knew it wasn't your intention. I never want you to feel that way. I knew that sometime when we pass things and do things in policy making and in the legislative arena, sometimes the outcomes come out not the exact way we thought when we were doing it. So I never want you to think I thought you personally did this intentionally. What I was bringing to light that this exists now, and how can we correct it? I'm glad to hear you say you're willing to work and try to do something with it, because you're talking to an alderman who has the oldest trees in Springfield, the oldest side of town, the trees that are already deteriorated and falling down. The biggest need for tree removal is east. And that's why I get animated when they are able to tell me in meetings, but Alderman, you voted for that and you're letting them do their trees. And look at how old our trees is. And then, of course, when you made the statement, they don't even have to be on the ground. They can look like they're going to be a threat. Well, that's all over the east side. So all I'm saying is I wanted to fix it tonight and try to fix it tonight. And these conversations can seem harsh. But really, it's never personal with me. I'm just saying, let's get it back on even ground somehow, whether we move
I think it's an ordinance, bring an ordinance forward. And like I said, I'd be happy to support that.
And that's all I wanted, so I appreciate you. And was my first old business, Chair. My second one deals with community engagement. If CWP Director can come back up, I can now ask what I was asking during my questioning, that I thought we would be past this. So one of the criticisms that I have is we don't engage. We don't allow the citizens to talk to us. We don't talk to the citizens. We have a one-way communication process up here. So anytime I see something like committee or commission where they are allowed, I expect that to happen. So, Director, again, in our code, it calls for, I wasn't on the council when this came about, but there is a utility committee, a city council utility committee. I have the numbers written down, I didn't got flustered. But in that, it talks about accountability and transparency and about a forum, a time for when citizens can engage on not just this project that just passed tonight, but any project dealing with the utility, any kind of work the utility is doing. And when I caught that it said quarterly, I just simply wanted to know from you, Director, when was the last time we met? I didn't really get an answer to that, so I'll just say this, not to beat up, just to say we need to start having them. And this is the reason why, because we move a lot of big money in your, not CEO, but, in charge, and that's citizens' money. And they should have a time and a place where they can engage and talk about it. And as you just heard me say, we can't do it here because it's a one-sided conversation. There's only 5 minutes. So it's important for when those committees are supposed to happen, that they happen. That's all I'm saying. Please verify through corporate counsel or whoever that is in our code, our Springfield code. And it's just one of the many things that I look for because I'm trying to get us to engage in our citizens. Thank you.
Director, before you speak, Alderwoman Conley would like to answer to that.
Yeah, Alderman Williams, we have been holding those meetings. Alderwoman Purchase is the co-chair with me. We've had 2 already this year, and I was actually hoping to announce under new business. We had a little bit of a delay in having the 3rd one for this year, just because the utility was really busy. But we do hold those. Those are incorporated into our committee of the whole meetings. And the next one is
August 25th.
August 25th. So it was a little bit of a delay because the utility was getting a lot, obviously some big purchases ready, and the RFP for our, say it for me, my mind is blanking.
Which one?
Which
Integrated
one?
Resource Plan?
Yes, thank you, our new plan, yes, I'm sorry, I apologize. So, so we have been holding those. We hold them with committee of the whole because it's our committee. So that's those have been hosted within these within our committee meetings. The next one we'll be talking about some water updates and, again, getting more information about the RFP for our integrated plan.
So are you saying that you meet before our committee of the whole?
No,
or-
it's held in the committee, we hold it in conjunction with the committee of the whole.
So who attends these meetings?
We do.
We
It's
do.
part
So
of our
see, and
committee
I
of the
don't,
whole.
I don't know that we're having the other meeting, I guess.
No,
See,
no,
I'm not, explain, please.
So we're having, we talked about this a couple of years ago. I mean, it's been more than a couple of years. But the concept was, instead of to hold it as a separate, which, so the point of committee of the whole is that we don't have to break out into separate groups, have different discussions, and then come together, and then have another discussion.
I understand
and then,
that.
Right? So because we had that one in city ordinance, and that was one of the things I really pushed to do when I took over after Alderman Redpath left council seat and moved to a different one. I wanted to make sure that we were having these meetings, but not to make it a separate from our committee of the whole, so we could incorporate it into committee of the whole, but with a very specific presentation, questions and answers from the utility, and that we have that with the meeting that the public is already knows about and attends and can engage with. So that's what we've been doing. Now the RFP, or sorry, the IRP, I can't, it's too many similar letters. The IRP itself, and that's what we're going to get more information about, also has a different format of public engagement. I think that's that kind of engagement that we've been talking about. We even got comments on that. And that was one of the things that, I reached out to the director, was to make sure that part of the IRP includes a very specific and targeted function of someone who knows how to engage and gather and share meaningful comments and feedbacks with our public. So I was hoping we were I don't want to jump the gun because I guess it is August already, but we will have that meeting and get more information about what that looks like, what we're going to be expecting from this process that, as we all know, our community has been asking for and really looking forward to engaging in. But the energy, the CWP Utility Committee is incorporated into our committee of the whole meetings.
Well, that's ridiculous to me. That's just my opinion. And I'll do some research and figure out even if it doesn't make sense or it's illegal. It seems like common sense is really missing at this point. If we're saying we're having a meeting and we don't know we got another meeting going on at the same time, I look at I look at the agenda. I don't see any items about your committee.
We break them out, it's quarterly, and I do believe we do include it on the agenda. I don't remember for sure.
Oh, no, well, I got tons of agendas. I've never seen anything about
Okay, well, then
this particular committee. And I suggest if we are doing that we change.
Alderman, that's a good point. I appreciate it.
So I'm willing to work with whoever, but we need to change that to
And
give the
include it on the
people this
agenda.
chance.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Alderman Notrano, before you speak, I'm going to go ahead and speak on what I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted myself. TIF eligible expenses are part of statute. So with ordinances, you cannot, and this administration will not, support not following statute. That's what I was going to say. Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you, Mayor. So I was trying to find the utility, and this is not my unfinished business, but after we had this conversation, I was trying to find the Utility Commission description and code, but I was unable to do that. I think the issue is, Alderman Williams, as you describe it, it should be more like a public forum, or that's what you...
I can read it.
Okay. And, but like the way it is in practice, it's just a presentation. Like, yeah, I can't remember what Doug presented on last time, but it was a PowerPoint, and that was it. So, yeah, if it is supposed to be interactive or like have public engagement, that's just not the way we're doing it now.
I'll get you the link.
Alderwoman, do you mind if I allow Alderwoman Conley to respond to you?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
fine.
So it was, my understanding was always that it was a subcommittee of the council members, which means a subcommittee is, and that's why it was attached to committee of the whole, because we used to have multiple subcommittees. And then councils way before me changed that so that we just have that one committee of the whole. So the concept was to just not break that out into a separate committee meeting, but it is a committee of the council. And certainly, yes, we have presentations, but we also have a chance to ask questions. But I will say, I think Alderman Williams does make a good point, and it was something I kind of thought about and maybe just had never brought up to the clerk, but we do need to include it on the agenda as a separate item. We do try to announce it prior to the meeting where it's going to be held, but we should include it as a separate agenda item.
Definitely, that would help clarify things, I think. But what I was gonna say, I wanted to give a shout out to my zone manager, Mike Horn, for the work that he did in conjunction with Hy-Vee, who I also would like to shout out, getting donations of water and hot dogs for some of the Ward 6 National Night Out events last night. Hy-Vee was super generous, and I appreciate them as a Ward 6 business and their continued engagement with the community. And as always, Mike Horn is going above and beyond, so I wanted to recognize him for that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. I appreciate you recognizing our teams here. Thank you. Alderman Donlin.
Yeah, Mayor, I've been waiting about 20 minutes to talk, and my brilliant idea is something that I'm going to keep to myself, but I am going to reach out to Alderman Williams. I'd like to chat with you about some of the discussion that you brought up tonight regarding some of the uses of the funds. I think we could come to some common ground and move forward. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman. That is the end of old business, so now we're on to new business. Is there any new business? Seeing none? Right, Alderman Williams, your button is it for new business? Okay. Clerk, then it would be citizens who have signed up to address the council.
In the middle of one of my written diatribes, as precinct committee person referred to it tonight at the precinct committee person hearing. So the window, everybody, it's back. It's for sale. What did I say in these chambers not too long ago? The ghost came back, everybody. What are we going to do with our boarded up hotel? Who's going to buy it? Will we get lucky and get another overseas billionaire? Who knows? It's exciting, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely appalling. Our city looks like a bunch of fools selling a second hotel while advocating for what's that? A third one. Anybody checked our capacity rates lately? How they doing? We hit even 60%, even on weekends? No, we don't. So the idea of pumping all that money into there, handing it out, is just starting to get a little tiring. I mean, we've got to have better ideas than that. After watching Roy try and actually fight for us to even have any sort of recourse with the Y block, which again, I think it's a great idea for the Y block, but we just handed away an entire city block for the rest of our lives, guys. Perfect. Administrations don't change, priorities don't change, budgets don't run out, entire departments don't change their focus. I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, the Wyndham isn't your fault necessarily, but it is a lot of the council's. I mean, let's be honest. This is a problem that's been going on a really long time. And now, what are we going to have? Yet another buyer coming in to do what? That hotel's only $8 million. What does that tell you about the condition of repairs that it needs? You ever paid to fix one elevator, let alone one going up that many floors? It's going to be astronomical. And that's the frustrating part, is we had the opportunity to fix that problem long before, didn't we? We did. And we failed to do it. So now our crown jewel over there sits with a giant boarded up windows around it. And, you know, it's frustrating because we start to see that creeping into other things. It affects the way people feel about our downtown. It affects our tourism. It affects our city's image outside of here. And it's eminently frustrating that instead of having, again, open communication with our administration, we don't receive that. We are left to find out from the SJR. We have no idea what's going on, what's going to happen. And it feels like that's how things go here in a lot of ways. Like we find ourselves just hoping for some sort of resolution. And I don't think that's the way a city should be processing or running itself. I mean, I get so frustrated because people are like, you think you have all these great ideas, but it's not like I just sit up at night and think of this stuff. I look at what other cities are doing. I see what succeeded for them, what failed, and I'll tell you, none of them think that after 2 hotels that have had the problems they've had, adding a 3rd one is going to somehow fix all the problems that have been decades in the making here. Because think of what's going to happen here soon. I'm sure some of you have seen the news that the landlord registry, not none of you, but a lot of you didn't want, got the signatures. It's going to end up on a referendum. And I'm going to tell you, I'll be out beating the streets to get that thing voted through, night and day. And when it lands at your guys' feet, you're going to be forced to do what? Confront a problem that's been around for decades that you've refused to take responsibility for. It's frustrating. It really is, because action and leadership comes from stepping out in front and being willing to make mistakes. And you'd be like, well, what do you lead, Karen? I'm about to lead a radio station on the air after 7 years of effort, guys. I brought a whole board that far. And they trust my leadership because even when I make mistakes, guess what? I talk about it. I come to the carpet and I take the hit. And you know what? Not all my ideas work. We've had to change plans multiple times. That's how it goes. But the simple fact is that can't operate behind closed doors. You can't wait for someone else to find a solution. And you can't keep backing away from problems that are right in front of you, literally right across the street. I see that a lot around here, and it's very frustrating. It's not just city council, it's other places too. You guys know you're not my only date every week. But it's frustrating because these problems are long-term in this community, and things are falling apart, not just here, but nationally. And if we don't start being willing to take accountability, take the hits, and maybe throw some ideas that don't work out there, and maybe some do, then we're going to keep going long past this administration and long past your guys' terms. Thank you.
Tierica Sullivan.
Hi everyone, my name is Tierica Sullivan, and I'm just a regular human being out here trying to make it, and someone who truly does believe in the city of Springfield. And I came to share an essay I wrote called "The World We Are Building for Our Students." I'm worried about whether the groundwork we're laying will create opportunities for future generations to thrive, or whether the systems we have in place are too often steering people towards crisis instead of opportunity. Our laws, our policies, our priorities, our rules, our standards. During my time in jail, most of the time I was praying that my son would never end up in there. And since that very moment, I've honestly looked at our city through a different lens. And as I observe what's happening, I cannot help but think about the kids. Every policy that gets passed, every budget that gets approved, every system we have in place eventually reaches somebody's child, whether we intended to or not. And I think about what they're witnessing and how they're taking everything in and how those experiences will shape the people they become. When I think about the beloved Sonia Massey, my heart goes out to her children because they represent so many children who are left to carry the consequences of systems and circumstances they did not create or choose. And when all the headlines fade, they're the ones who will continue living with the impact of everything that's happened. I think about families having to move from place to place because they can't afford housing right now, but don't qualify for any assistance. Families who can barely afford bills, groceries, or basic necessities, doing everything they can to make it, yet still struggling. Families working long hours, making every sacrifice they can, yet still are unable to create stability in how in the middle of all of that is a kid. I cannot help but think about how those realities affect students' outcomes. And even if we judge them only by the numbers, only by the standards we designed, the numbers will tell us that our students need our attention. But we don't need statistics to tell us that many of these kids out here are struggling because we can observe it. We see it in their experiences, their families, their communities, and the challenges that they bring with them into school. And it doesn't just suddenly stop when they graduate high school. These same patterns often follow many of them into adulthood. As a former college student who attended UIS in Lincoln Land, as a young wife and mother, I had the unique experience of going to college with my husband at the time. I knew so many students who could not afford housing. I knew so many students who were sleeping in their cars and, in the worst cases, getting caught by RAs from sleeping in their friends' dorm rooms. Springfield has thousands of college students who travel near and far just to earn their degree here, yet our colleges can only provide housing for a very small fraction of them, which means the majority of those students are also relying on the private housing market, which we all know has become increasingly difficult to afford. There's very little publicly available data on student housing insecurity in most cities, but not because it's not happening, it's just not consistently documented or reported. So, as a mother, a student advocate, and someone who truly does believe in the city of Springfield and the future generations, I've just been asking myself, what kind of world are we building for our students? We can't treat their outcomes as though they rest solely on the shoulders of the Board of Education, the school district, teachers, or parents. Every system in place contributes to the conditions these kids are growing up in. And if we're serious about improving student outcomes, then we have to be just as serious about improving the environment surrounding them. Are we doing our part to help build a world where every child has the opportunity to thrive? These kids aren't just the future of Springfield or Illinois, they're the future of our world. And the future of our society depends on whether we build a city where every child at least has the opportunity to become who they're meant to be. Because kids don't get to choose the world they're born into, the adults do. And one day, they will inherit every decision we make today. So the question isn't just what kind of adults these kids will become, it's what kind of world we will leave waiting for them when they do. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you as well, ma'am.
Roger Campbell.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roger Campbell, and I'm chairman of the board of board of directors for Lifestar Ambulance Incorporated. I founded this company originally in 1973, 53 years ago. We have been in Springfield since 1988, 37 years. Through those years, our company has faced many challenges. However, none quite like we have been through in the past several months in Springfield. Our company, as well as the entire medical community, faced many challenges during COVID. The entire medical system had to readjust top to bottom. It's been a tough road sometimes. It's getting better. In February of 23, the Firefighters Union publicly advocated for a city-run ambulance service. Let me first, as I always do, state that the fire department should be commended for the fine jobs they've done with newer fire codes and so on and so forth. Now, if most fires now are older structures or many places that should have been torn down. Fire codes has made that happen. But let me be clear that, quite frankly, they've done such a good job that they've almost put themselves out of business, so to speak, in the fire calls. The fire calls numbers have decreased And so hence, fire departments all over the country have started moving into EMS calls, and some in the fire department. This is not unique to Springfield area. Many years ago, a good friend of mine that was a fire chief in all by the name of Don Twitchell and I were talking, and he told me, and I quote, he said, "We need a big fire ever so often so the public realizes why we exist." Alton later decided they wanted to get into the EMS business and to get in the ambulance business. We were a private company there with another company. The fire department got into the ambulance business. For lack of a better term, they controlled the 911 dispatch as a government agency. The private companies were forced to downsize to keep happening. Once that happened, sometimes there was wait time on emergency 911 calls when the fire department was not available. Their backup sometimes were responding 15 to 30 miles away from the city of Alton. The union, after that put a clause in that after they finish paperwork, now they have an hour's downtime. If, for example, there's a cardiac arrest, what's the answer? The answer is they're out of service. Folks, you folks make the final decision here on many things that will happen in the future with EMS, fire, and private ambulance service. But I tell you up front, this is a rabbit hole you really probably don't want to go down. I feel our company has been treated unfairly here in Springfield for whatever reasons they are, and sometimes in the future the facts will be known. It would appear to me that somewhere the powers to be, not knowing who, has decided that the number of private companies should be reduced by one. We are that chosen company. What happened is a case here, 50 years, that has been in business 50 years, no complaints, and all of a sudden, we are revoked from doing business only in the city of Springfield. I asked one of our national attorneys countrywide, it's an expert in the field, this has never happened in the state of Illinois. What's happened? And I asked him, I said, why has nothing ever been done when somebody's suspended from only being able to operate in one area? And his answer was, quote, "It's a fire that nobody's thrown gas on yet." Well, the answer is maybe it's a time. If a fireman or a paramedic officer was to have an issue, you don't shut down the fire department, or you don't do away with the mayor and council. Same type of situation. If you have a nurse start something wrong, you don't shut down the doctor's office. If you have the same thing happen, you don't shut down the entire hospital. And finally, if Ford Motor Company makes one bad car, you don't shut down Ford Motor Company. That's what has happened here in the city of Springfield. Obviously, these are stupid questions, but that's exactly what happened. I hope I've not bored you, did not speak for too long. We are still here, still staffed with the same people, still running. We just can't service the city of Springfield. You're seeing that system. Perhaps it needs to be changed.
Thank you, sir. You need to tie up. Your time is up, sir.
Okay. We are still here. Willing to help if anybody wants it.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The count of only one person.